Let's add some spaces to this empty building. We have a floor slab, the background image, and if we zoom in we can actually see the background image. We don't necessarily need a background image, but we're going to use that as a reference point here to add some spaces. We can start from blank. So we see a lab here, and the way you add spaces manually in Onuma is on the left side you open this tab up with the arrow that opens up this interface here. Basic shapes. There's some pre-populated ones, but let's just start with the basic shapes. 300 square foot room. If we click that button there, it'll add one of those spaces, and we can move it into position, and with the same interface again we can drag this around, add shapes, and I'm just eyeballing again here, but it's pretty close even with a background image. If we had a better BIM or a CAD file in the background we wouldn't have to do this, but let's say that we're starting from scratch either on top of an image like this, or maybe even without an image. It would be off to the side. We don't want to do renovation and add an extension to this lab here possibly that maybe wraps around the building here like that. If we double click on the space again, it brings up an interface here, and we'll call this lab. We'll call it 101, and that's it. And we can add multiple spaces. So if we say we want 3 spaces, you can actually do it like that as well too. So you can quickly add spaces like this. And there's multiple ways of adding additional spaces to this plan here. The next step would be to continue like this, or let's do an Excel exercise. So from Onuma, as we're adding information like this, is building up a database of the spaces in this building, and we can export that to many different formats. So let's, on the lower right, there's an import export tab. Let's go export, and we're going to export space attributes to Excel. There's a whole list of spreadsheet options here. We're going to use the first one here, export to spreadsheet, export space attributes to Excel. Select that, and we can select, let's select, there's multiple options here. We can customize this as well, but let's just use department, or actually just let's get the whole thing and see what goes on. Hit export, and this can be customized as well. We're just getting a generic Excel export, and that is in my downloads folder on my desktop as medical dental clinic. And we're opening up the Excel file. There it is. So this is an Excel file, the equivalent of what we're seeing in the background, with a list of spaces. And this one actually has some other spaces on the roof, it looks like. Yeah, there's some other spaces that were on the roof already populated. So we're seeing multiple floors. The third floor, let's zoom into this a little bit so you can see what's going on in this Excel file. This is offline now on my desktop as an Excel file equivalent of the floor of the building in the background. And just to go through the basic structure of this Excel file, there's a unique ID to each space. There's the name of the space, including that lab that we just added, the floor it's on, and additional space numbers. And if there's other categories like Omni Class, you can start adding a lot of information. But the most important one here is a space area. This is the size of the space. And if it's a rectangular space, it also gives you an X and Y dimension. This is in metric, so it's giving me meters, 6 by 4 meters, but you can change this to feet and inches as well too. And on the right, there's a lot of other options that can continue to go on forever pretty much. Space height, space elevation, department name, and you can add like floor finish, etc. But let's just keep this simple for now and just focus on the space name. So for example, if we wanted to change this to Lab 1, we're changing it in Excel here, and we're going to leave it as 101. Maybe these other rooms we'll call them 102, and just create a sequence here, 102, 103, 104. Oops, didn't pick up on that in Excel. Okay, 104, 105. So these are several rooms here. Maybe this is an office, this is a lounge, this is a break room. And we also can add completely new spaces. These are the ones that came from the file in the background. But let's say we want to have a lobby on the first floor that is X and Y dimension 10 meters by 12 meters. And we want to have staff lounge on the first floor, room 107. Let's name this 106. And the staff lounge, we don't know the size of it, but maybe we want it to be 20 square meters. So you can continue to add spaces like this. First floor, 108, 10 meters. And even more, you can just continue to add them like this. So now we've added several spaces here. This is the minimal that you need. These are new spaces that I've added in Excel. These are the existing spaces that I can edit in Excel. I changed the name of that lab to lab 1. Maybe I even want to call it lab 101A or something. And save that Excel file. So it's saved on my desktop. I go back to the Onuma system. Instead of exporting, now we're going to import. And import the Excel file. Import update space attributes. So I select that. Choose the file. Medical dental clinic that I just saved a minute ago. Choose that. Hit import. Now it's grabbing the Excel file, loading it to the server, confirming that it's added some new spaces and the square meters of each, confirming the floor, and then I say that looks good, proceed. So now it's loading the Excel file data into this BIM, building new spaces, placing the new ones on the floor plan on the lower left. If I zoom out, you can actually see them. So there they are right there. The new lobby. Let's put the lobby there. Let's get the names on. We see the staff lounge. And it's the same process. You can continue to edit. There's nothing magical about the square footage other than the client saying, here's an Excel programmatic requirement and we want you to design to this. And the designer obviously can either lock it or break it and say, well, we need a larger staff lounge over here, and resolve that plan there. So that's adding spaces with Excel, adding them in Onuma, viewing them in the floor plan, and next we'll go through some reporting.